everyone. Today I thought I'd share a practice tip that, it seems really quite simple of an idea, but you'd be surprised that most people don't follow it. And that is when you are practicing your brush lettering or calligraphy, you do not practice the entire alphabet. So I think some of you might sit down and say, okay, I'm going to practice, and then you actually practice the entire alphabet, which is not really the way to go about improving your strokes. So today I'm going to talk to you about what do you do when you practice your lettering. So I have the multicolor small brush tip pens here, and today we'll just focus on one stroke. And which stroke is it going to be? I really recommend that you focus on just one or two strokes when you practice. And if it is going to be the ovals, then you'll work on, just the oval letters. So A, B, C, D, E, G, P, Q, and so on. But today we're going to look at the two strokes that are often used together for a couple of letters, and that is the overturn. And let me just zoom in. And the compound curve. So the overturn and the compound curve are found in the letters M and N. So what I want you to do when you practice, now I have a small brush pen, so you can see I'm using two squares here. So if you have a larger pen like the Dream Pen, you'll practice with 4 squares high approximately for your X height. But when you're practicing these two strokes together, what you do is you start out by practicing one stroke. So you can see my page is tilted like this. I'm holding the pen high on the barrel, and I will begin my practice with a single stroke, just the overturn. So I might do, I don't know, like how many rows you need. Maybe 1 row, maybe it's 2 rows, but I will work on this overturn for a few rows. And if I'm very, very, skillful, maybe I'll just do 1 row. But that's what you do. You just pick out 1 or 2 strokes, and the next stroke we'll make a row of would be, and I mean a row as in all the way across the page. And remember to space them very closely together, because also when you are practicing, you know what you're doing? You're always learning to control your brush pen and improve your judgment and spacing. So you want these shapes. Again, this is when you're a beginner. You want these shapes to be exactly the same angle, exactly the same distance spacing in between these up and down strokes, and the same height, of course. So pay attention to your baseline and your waistline. But also, more importantly, not more importantly, because it's all important, but the same spacing between the strokes. I see a lot of people practice and they're just, oh, let's go along, and they don't, I'm going to do some overturns, and they don't pay attention to all of these other factors, and then they feel like they don't have to practice much. So now let's do the same thing. We'll do, again, the X height with the waistline, and the baseline is 2 squares high, and we will work on the compound curve. So the compound curve, you basically have your overturn and your underturn, and you put these two together in 1 stroke. So you'll start out light up, push down, release, and climb up again. So your goal at the beginning is to have 3 parallel lines, and they are spaced the same. These 3 lines are spaced the same distance apart. And also when you do a row, remember what you're going to do? You're going to actually keep them the same distance apart as individual strokes. So there's a lot going on, even though you think, oh, I'm really good at my compound curves. But honestly, even for me, this exercise is helpful. So after you're very skillful, you can relax a bit and not worry too much about maybe some of your basic strokes. But in general, we should always be paying attention to their shapes, even if you do a bouncy relaxed style, because the technique will always be the same with the pressure and release. Okay, so now let's say you're in your practice, you've done a few rows of your overturn, you've done a few rows of your compound curve. What is next? The next part of your exercise would be to put the two together. So how do you put them together? Well, you simply draw them side by side. And what is the first stroke? These two strokes together, it's the letter N. Now, if you use my workbooks, you will know that I actually shorten my strokes to draw my letters. So I will start about here, and I'll end here, and I will often start here for that second stroke. So this is kind of what it looks like when I'm practicing my N. Now, I do this, but I also caution beginners, if you find that you're losing the shape of your strokes when you're doing your N, then draw the entire stroke from beginning to end. Don't shorten them if you think that's going to mess you up. And you know what? If you have all these pretty colors that you're working with, then you switch up in between strokes, and that will really make a difference. Oh, I didn't go all the way up. There. Okay, I kind of botched that. But you get the idea. So that would be your letter N. So I would do several rows of N, and I would want them all to look alike. When you're a beginner, you're striving for consistency. And then after you've got your consistency and your technique going on, then you can relax. So this is kind of spaced too far apart because I want to save paper. But anyways, if I was to continue this, I would leave that distance, that much distance. And don't cheat and use these squares as your separator for your distance, because then you're not really practicing any kind of judgment or spacing. So what do we do next for this practice session? The last thing we'll do is do the next letter that involves these two strokes, and that would be the letter M. So basically, we're doing the same thing as here. We'll do an overturn. And what's in letter M? I'll do them separately first. Another overturn, and then a compound curve. And up. Whoop. Okay, so then you put them together, and I'll switch colors so you have an idea of what I'm doing. And when I do these letters, again, these strokes for my letters, I do shorten them, but I'm gonna just show you what it looks like when you don't shorten them. There's your letter M. Okay, so now if I was to shorten my strokes and do my regular M and switch colors, this is what it would look like. And I recommend switching colors, so if you have the colors, then switch. So you can see I started halfway and I ended halfway here. And then I also kind of started halfway, or I also start higher up on the M to do these strokes. So they're slight modifications, but it doesn't matter, the technique is still the same. And now I will continue to do my letter M over and over and over again. And that's all I would practice in one day. I'd practice the M and the N, and then I would go to bed. No, just joking. So I hope this helps you in kind of defining what your practice should look like. And please don't write the whole alphabet in one shot, because you won't be really improving or working on your muscle memory at all. Thanks for watching.